All right, let's talk about 1.5 constructing algebraic expressions. First thing I need to note is that there is a chart of keywords on page 41 in the textbook, which you can find on WebAssign under ebooks. Okay, and if you go to page 41, you'll find a list of vocab words that are very helpful for this section. But to be honest with you, I think we actually know all of these words and can figure it out on our own. So 12 more than a number. So what we're being asked to do is take this verbal phrase and make it a algebraic expression. So 12 more than, well, more than here, that's going to be talking about addition. So I'm going to add my two things. So 12 more than a number n. So we have 12 plus n. You could write it as n plus 12, right? Doesn't really matter in this problem. So the sum, well, what does sum mean? Well, again, that means to add. So we're going to add the next two things. So we have the sum of 12 and now here's the thing. We have twice the number n. So twice the number is 2n. So the sum of 12 and twice the number n is represented by 12 plus 2n. All right, now the product. The product means multiplication. So we're going to multiply the next two things. So it says the product of y and 10. So I'm going to write 10y because it's cleaner. I could write y times 10, but 10y looks nicer to me. Now, is decreased by? Well, decreased means to subtract. So we subtract the next thing, and that's 35. Last but not least, the difference. That means I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to subtract the next two things, and here's where order matters. Okay, so we have to put it in this order. So the difference of x and 7. So I have to do x minus 7, and it says all divided by 9. All divided by means I'm going to have a big fraction bar there. And it says just divide it by 9. So we have x minus 7 over 9. Now, what's easier than that is to go the other way. So when I'm asked to go from an algebraic expression to a verbal phrase, well, you just read the problem. This says 5 minus x. So I'm going to write 5 minus x. Now, I'm not going to write out the word 5. We know what that is. So 5 minus x is how that's done. Now, b says 2 minus 3 times x. So I'm going to write 2 minus 3 times x. Now, I could write 2 decreased by 3x, but I like minus. Let's stick to the things we know, all right? Now, C is special because of the parentheses. So I'm going to write 4. Now, right in here, this means, right there means multiplication. So I'm going to write 4 times. Now, how do I write parentheses? And it's easy. It's the quantity of. So 4 times the quantity of x plus 6. And there you go. D is also special in the fact that it is a fraction. And this is fancy because we're going to be using similar words like that in C, because that fraction bar divides the top and the bottom, much like the parentheses divided C into the left and the right. So I'm going to write the quantity of x plus 10, all divided by 3. And why are we going over this? Well, we're going over it so that we can break down word problems. So When we have word problems, what we need to do is we need to break it down into a expression or equation so that I can solve it. So here, nickels in dollars. How much is a nickel worth? It's worth 5 cents, but that's not in dollars. So a nickel in representation to a dollar is 0.05, right? That's like 5 cents, okay? Because 100 cents or 1.00 is a dollar. So 0.05 is the value of a nickel in dollars. So it says the amount of money represented by X nickels. So it's 0.05 times X. Now, B says the amount of money represented by X nickels in cents. Well, we just talked about that. In cents, nickel's worth 5 cents. So this is just 5X. Now, a person is riding a bicycle at a constant rate of 12 miles per hour. Right now, algebraic expression showing how far the person can ride in T hours. Well, miles per hour times hours. This is just the, remember this triangle where it was distance equals rate times time. So my rate is 12 and my time is 10. And that's the distance, would be 12. The distance traveled in 5 hours at an average speed of r miles per hour. Well, it's the same type of problem, so it's just 5r. Okay, and just reference that triangle in the problem above to get the equation that I got. Now it says a person adds k liters of fluid containing 55% antifreeze to a car radiator. Right now, it's a algebraic expression that indicates how much antifreeze. Well, 55%, okay, is 0.55. So, k liters times 0.55 is just 0.55 K. Now it says a person's annual salary in Y dollars. Write an expression for the person's monthly salary. Well, here's the thing. Annual, monthly. Annual means per year, and monthly means per month. So I need to figure out how much I get per month. So what I need to do here is figure out how many months are in a year. And that's 12. So I'm going to take my annual salary and divide it by 12. Last but not least, it says the sum of 3 consecutive integers when the first integer is n. Guarantee you'll get this on the SATs. So consecutive means in a row. So the sum means I'm going to add. So we start out with n. Now we're going to add the next one after n. Well, it seems kind of confusing, but once you see this, it'll make sense. The number after n is n plus 1. And the number after that is n plus 2. Okay, kind of think of it, well, if n were 5, my favorite number, then the next number would be 6. And think about it as 5 plus 1. Well, that's 6. And the number after 6 would be 7. So that's the same thing as saying 5 plus 2. So you can see how that works. Now, if we want to simplify that, we could write it as 3n plus 3. Because we're going to combine the terms there. Any questions on that? All right. Now let's move on to the next page. All right, we have a few problems to do ourselves. Now, this is where you can pause the video, but for time reasons, I'm just going to keep going. You can pause it and try it on your own. But here we go. The amount of money represented by D dimes and Q quarters in dollars. This is key, in dollars. So D dimes, well, D dimes is 0.10. So I'm going to have 0.10 D plus, and quarters is 0.25, and that's going to be Q. So there's your expression. The amount of money represented by D dimes and Q quarters in cents. Well, dimes is 10 cents and quarters is 25 cents. So you can see where that comes from. The distance traveled in T hours at an average speed of 55 miles per hour. Well, again, that's our little triangle here with distance equals rate times time. Okay? So we have 55C. Easy enough. Total hourly wage for an employee when the base pay is $8.25 plus 60 cents for each unit X produced per hour. So this sounds a lot pretty funky, but this is called commission. All right, so your base pay is $8.25 plus 60 cents per unit, and X are your units. So this is like a commission pay. All right. Now it says, finally, write an algebraic expression representing the total bill for a meal that costs C dollars if you plan on leaving a 20% tip. So the meal costs C dollars, and tip is on top of that. So we're going to add 20% of my bill. So that my bill is C. So I have C plus 0.20C. And, Harmon doesn't like this, so I would write it as 1.20 or 1.2 times 6. Well, there you have it. That's 1.5. Good luck. Don't forget to do your web assign.